So when your new user comes along to log in the first time onto Gmail, this is what they're going to see. So they'll type in their full email address and password and hit sign in. The user's just going to need to accept the standard terms and conditions and some information there about the domain, and Google Gmail will load for them. So there's a couple of tips there for them to use the new inbox. From your new inbox, I have personal suggestions about how to set this up. One of the things you might want to do is go into settings, and under general you can decide which stars to use when you to categorize your emails, and you click once and you'll get a yellow star. If I want the red star as well, I'll click twice and I'll get the red star. Then I'll click it third time and the stars will disappear again. Under general here, I can also decide if I want chat notifications and mail notifications. These mail notifications work when you use Google Chrome. And I would also recommend that you turn keyboard shortcuts on. This is an insanely useful feature, and simply by pushing G and I will take you back to the inbox. I leave button labels on all the rest the same. And then this is where you would put your signature in. So I'm just going to put a simple one in there, like so. And I like to turn off this personal level indicators. These are little yellow arrows that sit next to your emails, and for my money they just get in the way, so I don't keep them. You can then also use your auto office, your out of office reply, so you can set the date that it goes on and off, a subject and a message, and then decide who to send it to. So you might want to send it only to people in your contact list or only to people within your company, but in most cases you probably leave it blank and send it to everyone that comes to you. Labels in Gmail work slightly differently to folders that you might be used to in, for example, Outlook. Labels allow you to add one label to one message, but also two labels to one message, which you couldn't previously do in older email systems. So for example, I can come in here and say I want a new label. I want to call that clients. So I might get an email that I put there and attach them to clients, but I also might have a label called to process, which might be part of my workflow. And once I've done those through the inbox, I'm just going to save those changes. When I'm looking at the mail, I can now go into labels and say, yep, this is a client, it's also to process, and click apply. And you'll see that I've now got two labels added there. I can also remove the label there, and I can mark as unread. And then my labels down the left hand side here allow me to show if unread. I can change the colour of them, and I can also click on them to see only the labels in there. There you go, you can see I've clicked onto process, but it's also telling me that it's in the client's labels. Back in settings through inbox, I like to use the unread first. So this means that I get everything that I've not read, i.e. I've not attended to, comes up at the top. Then I get everything else comes underneath. But I'm actually just going to customize that, and I'm going to use important as my second block. So those are the things that I might have starred. Starred would be the things that come up next. I'm going to take off the importance markers. Like I said, I don't particularly like those or use them. They don't seem to work very well for me. And then my unread items are always going to be in the first section. So I want it to count the unread items in the first section rather than the inbox. Now the inbox is essentially all of my mail. It's not just what's unread. And because you don't have folders, it's not kind of a folder in itself that you can say. So we'll click save on there. Now when I come back to the inbox, you can see that I've got an email that's starred, I've got 2 unread, and now it says I've got 2 unread. If I hit G and I and go back to the inbox, you'll see then I've got the starred emails, and now I've got everything else down here. So here's a tip with Gmail. By and large, you do not want to use the delete button. If you use delete, it will go into everything else into the trash, and depending on your company policy, it might be deleted after 30 days. So just consider whether you use that. Often the best thing to do in Gmail is just go back to your inbox and move on to the next mail. All of the mail you've read will appear in everything else and disappear off down the bottom here. That's when, because you've got everything in one bucket, the search that Google provides comes in very handy. We'll come back and talk about that later.